Hi, I'm Andrew Sandoval, and I am the producer of this box set, which is brand new and has just been announced from Rhino. It's the Monkees' fourth album from November 1967, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited. And this has never been given this deluxe treatment. This is the last in a series of releases. I started in 2009. I guess the first one came out in 2010 of the Birds, Bees, and the Monkees. And they are super deluxe, expanded versions of the albums, and this is the final one that people have been waiting for and been bugging me for years to do. And Rhino themselves, it was like touch and go about doing it, and then all of a sudden this year they said we really must have this now and we need to have it right away. So I put everything aside, and in March I did this project, which normally I would do in about 6 months. I did it all in a month, but that's not to say that it's any less than the other ones. In fact, it's got a lot of great stuff, and technology has helped me do a few interesting things with it. So I have not ever seen or opened up a finished one of these. I just got one. I'm going to do the unboxing, sort of opening with you, and we'll look at it together. So here we go. I got the knife. So before I do, you can see the front and back, but the cool thing is the sides even carry forth the motif of the cover painting, which was done by a guy named Bernard Yezin, who designed the first 4 Monkees albums. He shot the cover photos for those, and for this he decided he would do a cover painting, and he thought they were so famous he didn't even have to put their faces on the cover. So some stores in the time, in 1967, actually put a sticker, because you'll see that the Monkees guitar logo is sort of sunken down here, so it's not really visible. But for the people who are going to buy this box set and spend the kind of money that you'd have to get it, they know who the Monkees are. They want this kind of thing, and it's unique in the series because it has 4 discs, and a lot of the other ones we did have 3 discs. So let's open it up now. There's the front, there's the back with the track listing, and this was designed by Steve Stanley. It's also got a cool spine as well, so you can line them all up, all your other ones. And when you open it up, the inside, that's the original master tape box. I think that's the stereo one of the tapes. The album was mixed in mono and stereo, and we used the original masters for the mono and stereo of it. And here's the book with a little thing, you can get it out. And so there's the book, and then there's a 45 with Love Is Only Sleeping and Going Down. And Joe Russo, who I worked with most recently on this book I published called Smoke-Filled Dreams, he got us these photos, which are Henry Dilt's photos shot in Chicago during the Monkees' 1967 tour, and you'll know them from the various TV episodes where you saw them performing the songs. A lot of those specific mixes are on this box set. And then here, I'll go through the booklet in a second, don't worry. You get the 4 discs, and so you've got one that's configured like the stereo, and then you've got one that's configured like the mono. They're similar. So in the 60s, they'd be available mono and stereo, and what they would do is they would just slide what they call the slick up and down on the cardboard backing to show if it was mono or stereo, and have the different catalog numbers on the same slick. And the artwork was sourced from a slick that's in my collection, newly scanned. It looks really beautiful. And then Steve, that's the original back design, and then Steve did some new back designs in the style of the original ones. And then the other 2 discs, this is a Japanese cover, and when I was in Japan on my honeymoon, I picked up a copy of the Japanese album, and so it's sourced from that. And then Steve did a new back. And then when I was in Italy recently, I was in Venice, Italy at a shop, and I found this nice German copy, and so that was the source for the cover of this. And so what you get on these is you get the mono and stereo albums, plus a bunch of bonus material, new mixes by me, session outtakes, and all sorts of things. Now, a lot of you know about this because about a week ago, all of a sudden, all of it was available online digitally for a couple of hours by mistake, and that was kind of weird. So some of you have heard it, but now it's been announced and you can buy it. And I have been told by Rhino, now I don't know if they're going to stick to this, but this might be the fewest they've ever made of one of these. And I'm not just saying it because, I mean, I'm not selling it myself, but just as a collector, if you want it, like some of the other ones have sold out and then you have to buy them on eBay or whatever, and they're way more expensive. So if you really care about this, I wouldn't snooze on it. I would get it. Under the lid, you have a reproduction of one of the Monkees ads. And the monkey ad campaign for this album was "You're under the sign of the Monkees," because it's the sort of like a horoscope, astrological based thing. So that's the cover of Go magazine with that. And let's look at the booklet. So I did a new set of liner notes for this. And now a lot of you know, I'm looking over here because my book, how I could do this in a month was this book. So many of you know I expanded my original Monkees book to this gigantic 700-page one, and this really has most of my memories and important details in it. So I consulted this heavily, as well as Craig Smith and Derek Miner, who do the Monkees mixology. They helped me a lot through this project, just being my sounding board to listen to some of the things and make sure that I was getting all of the wild different mixes, the TV mixes and other things. But this is always my starting point, and this is available from my company Beatland Books at beatlandbooks.com. And right now, if you use the coupon Beatland25, you can get it for $25 off, which is a good deal. All the other books I've done are the same right now, so we'll look at those in a minute. But this new booklet here, I believe that this is either a Henry Diltz or New Wild cover photo, and that's definitely a Henry Diltz photo. There were actually 3 photographers at the session that they did the Rainbow Room. Henry was the main one, and then there were a couple others. And the book over here, Joe Russo's Smoke-Filled Dreams, actually has some outtake photos by one of the other photographers that I'd never heard of until we did this project. So this too is available from Beatland Books with the same Beatland25 code in a few different configurations. So good to know. Okay, now to this book. And this is really cool. Steve Stanley did this new art design in the style of Bernard Yezin. So sort of playing off of this photo and then doing this. Now, I believe in the back here, this photo is the concept photo that Bernard Yezin used to draw this. And so that's in there. And also some, if you like the Japanese art that I do, I brought back some magazines, and this is some more Japanese concept art from the Japanese art of Pisces, Aquarius, which that album is kind of interesting because they changed the sequence with, I think Star Collector might be the opening track, because that was a big popular song there. Anyway, back to the book. My new essay is called Under the Sign of the Monkees, and I didn't just regurgitate or cut and paste stuff from my old things. I decided, let's do this new, and I examined the period they were recording, and I actually came to some new conclusions on why they did some of the things they did. Here's another page. There's a photo of Nilsson, who wrote Cuddly Toy, that's on the album. There's Lester Sill, who was the music supervisor, and Chip Douglas, who was the producer, and I actually did a new interview with Chip Douglas for this project and consulted with him while I was doing it. So again, I didn't just use the same old stuff. I went back, and Chip and I had a number of meaningful conversations, some great photos of the guys, Michael, Peter, David, and Mickey. And then I bet you there's even more photos of them. Look, them in the Rainbow Room, and sort of a rainbow backdrop here. And then there's Craig Smith, who was in the Penny Arcade, and he wrote Salesman. And there's an interesting book by Mike Stacks of Ugly Things, just about Craig Smith and his sort of very strange and tragic life. But he was brought into the fold through Michael Nesmith, who was producing the Penny Arcade at the time. Some more great photos. We went out and tried to source some new things for this book so that there would be some photos that people haven't seen before, and I think we definitely came up with a few. There's another nice grouping. There's a lot of, it's a long essay. Beautiful centerfold piece there from the Devil and Peter Tork episode, which was pivotal, one of the best episodes of the series, and also it was a show that was shot around like April of '67, but was held up from being screened by NBC because they objected to, they said the song Salesman, because they said it has drug connotations, which it does, but a lot of the people who worked on the Monkees show felt it was because the Monkees made fun of the fact that at the time you could not say hell on television, and so they had a very clever way of getting around that. But it's a magnificent episode, which I'm sure most of you who have gotten this far in this video have seen. And then here's some more photos. I think this is from Hillbilly Honeymoon, and some of the back cover photos from the original album were shot on the set by Henry Diltz, and so you get to see kind of what they look like uncropped. And let's see what else. There's Davey in the studio, and one of the mix reels, I believe, for Star Collector. I went through there's a full sessionography in here with all of the people who played on the record, as best we can tell, and all newly assembled information, didn't just go back to the old stuff. There's Bob Rifson and Bert Schneider, who were the creators of the Monkees TV series. Mickey, this is at one of the RCA studios. This album was recorded in Los Angeles at RCA Studios, in New York at RCA Studios, in Chicago at RCA Studios, and in Nashville. So they took the tapes around, and they started on 4-track and went to 8-track. They ended up losing some of the 8-track multi-track tapes, and so we're missing some, but I did use some technology to do some demixing and rebuild a couple of things. But where there isn't the material, we didn't just try and fake it up and create something, a remix for no reason. Everything I did was done with a lot of thought and care to what I felt was true, and also discussing with Chip what he had done. And there's a lot of new mixes, including Daydream Believer was a single coming out at the same time as the album, but not on the album, and I did a new mix of that's on here that sounds pretty cool. There's some more session photos, and more session photos, and let's see what else. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see everything. There's another mix reel, and some more black and white photos, and then this page, which I kind of showed you. And so speaking of all of these things, this was a real labor of love for me. This is my favorite Monkees album, and I got to do a couple of interesting things. The most interesting track to me is Dorn to Summer alternate version that Chip Douglas started, and then the Monkees rejected it because Chip played most of the instruments, but they never did vocals on it. So I actually flew in their vocals, which I did not have separated on a multi-track, but I had to use demixing technology to bring them over and sort of give you an idea of what it would have sounded like if the Monkees sang on it. So it was really fun to get to do that. And another thing was a version of the traditional song Ryushiu that they sang on the Christmas episode. There was a tape that Mickey had tried to overdub on, and it had been kind of a disaster session. So I never understood that underneath all of that, there was this unheard performance of theirs, which I was able to rescue. It had a big tone going over it. Actually had several tones like E going over to, so I was able to slice out the tone, or the several tones. There was also a going through the whole thing. So by hand, I took out each one of the taps so you could hear the Monkees a cappella vocal performance without all that stuff. So those were the highlights for me, in addition to a lot of the TV mixes that the mixology guys, they took me to school and taught me a bit about that. So I would say it's pretty comprehensive. The reason why it was held up for years, there was a live concert recording we were trying to get, and the president of Rhino tried to negotiate for it. It's with a third party, not one of the Monkees, not me, and certainly not Rhino, and they don't own it, but they have the physical item, and then they could never come to terms on it. And so that took a couple of years of talking about that, and nothing happened, but all of a sudden, here it is. This is the box set, and again, I have these books. I don't know if you ever saw Mickey's book, but it also has some great stuff from the '67 tour, during which they recorded the album, and I really highly recommend this if you haven't seen it. Again, the code BEATLAND25 will get you $25 off of any of the versions of the books, and I have some other stuff in store for this coming year, including a book on the Kinks. But the Monkees will always be very near and dear to my heart, and I don't know if I'll ever get to do another project like this. But I hope you enjoy all the ones I did for over the last 35 years. It's been a real labor of love for me, and also a really amazing experience to get to meet so many fans who are like-minded and get to know the Monkees too. And so I really want to thank you for all your support and for watching my unboxing of this, and I hope to be back with something else monkey related soon. So take care. I'll see you around.